Hey guys, my name is Alex Barham. I've spent the last month paddling a new Dagger Indra, and here is my review. By the way, if you haven't heard of the Indra yet, that would be because Dagger was amazing and actually gave me one of these boats the day it came out. So big props to them. Make sure if this helped you, tell them thank you on my behalf. That said, this is still the same independent reviews they've always been. I'm telling you so that you know straight up. So first of all, what is the Indra? You know, Dagger has made many half slices. Some are more famous than others, but for sure, when you think about their legacy, you've got the RPM, the Axiom, the Rewind. Those are really the big ones. Now, they still make the Rewind, which probably, arguably one of their best ever. Why would they need another one? Well, as many people who paddle a lot, pay attention to the industry know, Waka's Steez has been a phenom for years. And in talking to them, they were relatively open about the fact that, we're not out here to rip off the Steez, but if people want a large, big water centric half slice that's really the size of a creeker, then let's give them one. It sounds fun. And it really is. The Indra is super fun. I'll do a separate video talking about the Indra versus the Steez and kind of break that down. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the Indra. For starters, a lot of people are going to be wondering if this is some sort of update to something else. No, in the Dagger canon, this really stands alone. This is a new style of boat for them. If you have something previously made by Dagger, you do not have something that's truly comparable. In my opinion, the boat that paddles the most like the Indra is actually the Phantom. So their racing creek boat. That's sort of strange, but it really kind of speaks to the way that the Indra wants to be paddled. It wants to go fast, it wants to be aggressive, it wants to go over the top of everything, and it just wants to be fun and paddled aggressively. If you put these boats side by side, just in the general shape, they have a ton in common. Length, rocker profile, but from there, you really branch out. So although they have some traits, the Indra is in a world of its own. In talking to Snowy about what they were thinking about, what their points of inspiration were for making this boat, he was looking across a huge spectrum. They were looking at all sorts of things that when he mentioned them at the time, didn't really make any sense to me, but then continuing to paddle the boat, oh, okay, some of these pieces are coming together. By far, one of those that totally confused me at first was talking about how the Supernova was an inspiration. Well, how could that be? But you paddle this boat, and it really does have a similar sense of confidence. You've got just a buoy of volume surrounding the paddler. You've got that same kind of comfortable knee position. And the chines are very similar, especially in the way that they go all the way out to the stern. One of the other boats that acted as an inspiration to the Indra was the Mamba. Dagger really doesn't have just a true river runner in its fleet right now. And if you want to go out and crush big water days, what's that going to be? You also, if you're looking at the bow, are going to see a hyper aggressive jump on top of everything style that's very reminiscent of the Code. When you put all of that together, you get something that is really kind of all around a good boat and just a fun boat. So what I find about the Indra is that for the most part, it wants you sitting upright, stable, leaning forward a little bit, and just giving it gas. Paddle, 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 smash into everything straight upright, because what it wants to do is just jump up and over and keep going. It boofs like an absolute dream, but what you really see is because you have that low volume in the stern, the tail dips down when the bow jumps up, and it just glides, skips, jumps out of the bottom of drops. It is so fast exiting out the bottom of a drop, whether you're boofing or sliding in. It is truly wild. So that gives you a lot of forgiveness in creeking, and it's just super fun and a great experience. Wrapping all of that capability into that fun package, it really does give you kind of an opportunity to have the comfort zone to try some things that you might not otherwise. So I found myself opening up new kind of downriver freestyle things in places I've never done them before, and just giving things a try that I had thought about, but maybe not had the confidence to just go out and give her. Now that being said, this is a big boat. I was paddling the medium large. It's a large. It's just forget the M, it is a large. It is a big boat. It's a heavy boat. So when I say play, I do not mean stern squirting, stern stalls, any of that. I absolutely do not mean that. I cannot reliably stern squirt this boat anywhere near vertical. I can pivot it on its tail. I can do all of those things, and it does really like that. But if you want to go out and just have like a super slicey day, they made the Rewind. The Rewind is fantastic for that. They made the Novas. Go paddle one of those. This is really today's river runner. That's what this is. You know, river runners used to be Mambas and Diesels and these things that looked a lot like a creeker. This is now what today I would call a river runner. Waka is still calling the Steez a creeker. But, you know, to me, a river runner is something that you can go out, you can shred all of the class 4 creeking, you can run all of the class 5 big water in, you can have a fun in, you can learn in, and it kind of bridges a huge span. This used to be done in a full volume package, but today, in this boat, I think this is just like a no-brainer river runner. You can roll it easy, you can run big stuff in it. Honestly, it wasn't designed for this. This was a team-driven boat, but this has got first purchase, long-term investment, quiver killer, all of that potential written all over it. You know, if I was a shop selling Dagger and you were to walk in, I would have no problem putting a beginner in this boat. At the same time, obviously, I've spent the last month and a half absolutely tearing this boat apart on creeks, big water, micro creeking, river running, all of that stuff. And I thought it was absolutely incredible on that. I turned around and I took it to a basic class 2 run down the street from my house, and I was bored to tears, but I kind of think both are the point, right? So yeah, the Indra has this amazing ability to bridge all of that out. And I hate this boat is great at everything line, but this boat does have a lot of potential in that way. Now that being said, this is still an independent review, and there is one quirk to this boat. And that is that there is a little bit more volume behind the paddler in this actual hull of the boat than there is in front of the paddler. And this kind of has the same issue that we saw in the Alphas, where you can get these random spin outs that come out of nowhere if you're not edging the boat hard enough. It's not nearly as dramatic because the chines are much more pronounced. So you definitely can learn to predict it, learn to edge through it if it starts to happen. But I will definitely say that when I first started paddling this boat, I immediately just started taking it everywhere I was going and doing everything I was doing in it. And I started in big water having these moments where the boat would just slide off into the distance almost without me and just stop responding to any input. Once I figured out, okay, what I need to do is edge the boat to maintain control, like more than I usually would, then it all worked out. But I will say there was a bit of a learning curve, and I've heard that there's been a problem for people kind of across the spectrum learning this boat. My only real gripe with this boat is I think the medium large is a large. Really, the problem is actually the weight. So the one thing you'll notice with the Indra, it is heavy. I mean, especially compared to some other things on the market, it is heavy. So you just have to sort of be prepared for that and paddle it through. So the way that I paddle the Indra is much more akin to a creeker, and then I'm just like getting away with stuff, versus a half slice that I'm kind of wrapped in bubble wrap in. There's kind of an approach to how I look at it that's different. So typically the half slices, when I'm whipping around, they're overly sporty. And then if you paddle something like a horny potato where they just add volume on the back, they're still kind of like overly sporty, but you almost have training wheels. The Indra really feels like I put a bigger engine into a Phantom. It's just super aggressive, and as long as I'm paddling it like a creek boat, it always surprises me in a good way. By contrast, if I paddle it like a half slice, where I have just a little bit of bonus capability, I'm usually left a little disappointed. I can't just go and stern stall it everywhere. I can't just play as if I'm in a playboat. This is truly a river runner that is super fun. It's not just a toy in the way that a lot of these super skinny, ultra rockered half slices of a couple of years ago were. To that end, as an advanced paddler, does it have a place for me in the lineup? I absolutely can see plenty of instances where another boat would not quite have enough punch, so I'm gonna take this instead. Or I don't need my DRX or my Cross or another creeker. I can take this and have more fun instead. I'm gonna continue using the Indra to squeeze fun out of my day. Now that said, I'm gonna continue to be cautious because I did have a couple minor wipeouts on this just because I didn't have a stern and I needed a stern. And there are going to be places where if you're pushing class 5, this boat, in creeking especially, cannot just magically have a full stern when it doesn't. In big water, I think you're completely fine. This is class 5 certified. But, you know, for true waterfall creeking, make boating, you're gonna have some shortcomings, especially in like flood situations. So to wrap out, what else is there to really look at in this boat? Well, you've got quality construction. You've got a boat that is built like a tank. That's what Dagger does. It has got the full Contour outfitting kit, including the brand new thigh hooks. Those things were fantastic. They grab really, really well. I mean, I was paddling this back to back with a lot of my other favorite outfitting, the Zet thigh hooks, the Waka thigh hooks. These are an absolute improvement over the traditional ones. I will show you more of them, how they can drop into older boats and all of that good stuff. So stay tuned on that. But you know, the construction and the outfitting and everything about this, you are getting a quality boat for the money. The one thing I will say is that, you know, nothing is gonna beat the durability of like a Dagger Nomad. You can't just have the durability of a round hull in a huge flat hull. So am I worried that there will be more warranty issues with a flat hull boat and therefore the Indra falls into that basket? Yes, that is sort of an eventuality. It's something that you factor in when you design one of these boats. So be realistic. If you are gonna go and just make boat and make boat and make boat, you're gonna break one of these things. And that's what it is. That's why they still make the Nomad, you know? But otherwise, when I look at the just build quality and the way it's put up with the nonsense that I've given it, A+. They're still built like a tank. They're still a quality crew. They're still making really good stuff. Well, I think that's it for me. Like I said, I'll have more stuff coming out kind of on the periphery of these boats. Say thank you to Dagger for me if you see them. If these are not yet in your local shop, they will be soon. And I will see you on the next one.